Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'll be shooting a Tesla Model S and this is my first Tesla ever and I'm very excited for this photo shoot. My client's gonna come to the first spot in about a couple hours now and I'll be walking you through on how I take my pictures. For the first spot and the interior shots, I'll be using the Canon 24mm f2.8 and for the sunset shots, I'll be using the Canon 50mm f1.8. So I'm just gonna show you how I took those pictures and I'll see you there. Alright, so now I'm back in Lightroom and I'll be editing one of the main shots that I've taken in the first spot. And I really like this shot because I think it works with the entire car. Since Tesla is electric, so it's very green, it's pushing to be very green. So I think this scenery really works with this car. All the trees in the background and the light coming in, everything. And I'm just gonna edit this photo with you, and I'm gonna show you some of the edits I've done to it to make it look like a little bit nicer. So it was a bit underexposed, but I'm just gonna fix that and show you how I went about fixing it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to the basic panel, increase the shadows by 50, and I increase the blacks by 50. So what this does is it brings out like the dark parts of the car, and it exposes the dark parts of the car a bit better so you can see those parts. Then for clarity, I just boosted the clarity a little bit by 30. So it just adds a bit of punch, adds a bit of kick to the entire photo, and it looks a bit nicer. And then after that, I'm just gonna exit out of the basic panel because I'm done here. And then for tone curve, I'm just gonna add a bit of fade. So just grab the bottom right here. First, before doing that, you wanna add 3 points to the entire tone curve. And then you wanna grab the bottom and raise it up to about 35. So what this does is, it adds a bit of fade in the shadows. And then what I did was I grabbed one of the bottom points right here and I dragged that down just to darken up the faded part so it looks a bit nicer and works with the entire car. And then I'm just going to exit out of the tone curve and then go to HSL. And I haven't really done anything here, so yeah, I'm done with HSL basically. And then for color grading, I went to highlights and added a little bit of warmth to the highlights, like the white parts, like the illuminated parts of the car. So it adds just a little bit of warmth, so it looks like the sun is coming in, and it looks like it's very warm, and it adds a little bit of summer vibes to it. And then I'm gonna exit out of that and go to detail. And I added a bit of sharpening. Then I clicked and hold on Alt or Command on Mac, and then I brought up the masking slider like that. So whatever is white, that part is being sharpened. It doesn't sharpen the entire photo, it only sharpens the car. So drag it up till when you have just the car selected, like only the car is white, and then it only sharpens the hard edges of the car, because you don't want to sharpen too much because it adds a lot of unnecessary noise. And then we're gonna go to the lens correction and just check all the boxes. What this does is it gets rid of a lot of the vignetting in the corners, and based on your lens, it just adds a bit of profile correction so it doesn't distort the car much, because I was using a 24mm, and wide lenses tend to distort the proportions of the car, and it looks a bit fake. It looks a bit odd when it comes to straight lines. So it just straighten up the straight lines and doesn't make it curved, and just gets rid of all the distortions. And then after that, I'm going to go to calibration, and I'm just going to decrease the blues to about -25. So as I said, the warm vibe, so it just makes the yellows a bit more orangish, and it makes it look a bit nicer. That's the edit right there. But as you can see, on the top you have like a light source. This was not there. So what I did was I went to this square right here, the graduated filter, and I added a graduated filter on the corner and added a bit of exposure. So this is without it and this is with it. So this just adds that light in the photo, because the sun was there, but because of the trees it was not that visible. So adding a bit of exposure from the corner really shows that the sun is there and the light is coming in, and creates like a nice gradient, and it looks very, very nice. You want to add a bit of temperature, like I added 20 in this temperature because it is a sun, and you want to add a bit of warmth so it looks believable. And then for another gradient in the bottom, I just dragged from the bottom up, and then I decrease the exposure. So this is without it. This is with -2 exposure. So what this does is it darkens up the ground in front of the car, so it directs your focus on the car, and it creates a nice difference between light and dark, because as you can see, the sun is coming in from the corner and there's this dark portion in the bottom, and it just adds a little bit of dynamic lighting to the entire photo and looks very, very nice. And then I'm just going to exit out of the gradient filter and then go to the circle right here. You just click and drag and it creates circles, and it only affects that part. So what you want to do is you want to create 2 circles right here. So I created 2 ovals on the wheels, and then you add a bit of exposure, like 1. So this is without, this is with the exposure. So what this does is it brightens up the wheels a bit more so it's visible. Because the wheels are in the shadows, it doesn't show up very well. So adding that radial filter and adding a bit of exposure to it brightens up the wheel. It looks a bit nicer on the photo. Other than that, that's all I did basically. You know, this is before and after, before and after. Yeah, so it was a bit of underexposed, you know, like this photo I shot at 200th of a second. Yeah, 200th of a second. So it was a bit underexposed, but sometimes underexposed is good. Then you can really create this nice lighting effect. Sometimes you don't have to expose all the ways. You just, you know, can, in post-production, you can bring up the shadows just a bit, or you can not bring up the shadows and create like a very nice gradient. Like I didn't bring up the shadows all the way, but it still looks good. So let me know what you guys think, and do you like this photo? Do you like the edit that I've done on it? And let me know if this video helped you out. Leave a comment down below on what you think. Like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.